Hello and welcome TBU fans, I'm your host King05 and today I'm bringing you my Week 7 match up against Redithin, coach of the Tennessee Tynamos, and his pretty threatening team. You can see it on the right. It includes some very powerful Pokemon like Mega Lopunny, Sea Dragonite, which going into this is easily the biggest threat. It has Nidoqueen, which my team cannot really switch into very well. Chandelure, which is kind of even worse to switch into. He has a lot of threats. So let's see for our team builder section what we're going to bring this week. And you can see it on your screen. The first Pokemon is going to be the MVP of the Battle Union so far, Mega Sharpedo. And this spread, I'm going for 84 HP, 250 to attack with an Adamant Nature, 4 in each defense, and 164 speed, if I can read that correctly. Yes, it looks like 164. So I could run Jolly Mega Sharpedo, and that would outspeed Swanna. However, Swanna is the only thing preventing me from running Adamant, which I don't think is coming. And second of all, if it does come, I have a very bulky floor just to take it on very easily anyways, so I am going to go for the speed creep of his base 80s this game, because Swanna, while it is a faster threat that could potentially force me to run a little bit more speed on my Pokemon, I don't feel like it's a big enough threat for me to use up all those EVs and use my nature, because Adamant Sharpedo does pretty cool things like 2-hit KO Alomomola after rocks, I believe, and like has a good chance to like Oko. Actually, I don't know any more counts off the top of my head, but it does hit very hard. Crunch, Ice Fang, Psychic Fangs hits pretty much everything on his team very hard. The only thing that I can't really hit for neutral damage is Sneasel, and that takes like 75% from a Crunch anyways, so don't really feel the need to run Waterfall on that versus that. And I do have the Taunt, which is going to allow me to break the Alomomola. If there's no hazards up, he can switch in on anything that isn't like a high roll Crunch. Even then, he can go for Protect, get leftovers, and live the next one. So I have Taunt to prevent that and just be able to break through the Aloe. So yeah, that's my Mega Sharpedo set. Next up is my Infernape set. This is going to be Fat Ape with the Rocky Helmet, and basically this set definitely has 4 moveset syndrome versus his team. However, this is the set that I decided to go with. Stealth Rock, because Stealth Rocks are extremely important in this match. A Dragonite at multi-scale is very, very difficult for my team to take on, and having that thing chip down to 75% every time means that it's in range of my Scarf Lando's Stone Edge, so I can revenge that thing 80% of the time. But anyways, that's my most reliable way of checking that thing. I'll get into Lando later, but Infernape getting up the rocks is very helpful to chip down Dragonite, get rid of its multi-scale, and put it in range of things on my team. And then I have the Slack Off because recovery is pretty mandatory on a defensive Pokemon, especially Infernape, where I'm not going to be taking too many hits unless I have recovery. Next up I have Will-O-Wisp, because he doesn't have the greatest Will-O-Wisp answers besides Chandelure, and I have the Rock Tomb for that thing, so that's pretty cool. Also, with my special defense investment, I can live any hit from any Chandelure. Even Modest Specs fails to Oko me, and I can go for the Rock Tomb, and it's a roll to 2-hit KO after rocks, I believe, on the Chandelure. And if I give it Flash Fire, like I do resist fire, I will take a lot, no doubt, because it's a Chandelure, but I can go for the Rock Tomb. Even if it's Scarf, I'll outspeed the next turn, because I am speed creeping the base 80s on this thing as well, hitting the 146 stats. And then Will-O-Wisp is nice because it prevents him from getting free setup on Dragonite, as well as Rock Tomb also prevents it from getting +2 speed on my Infernape, which if I had any other move on my Infernape, say Fire Punch or Rock Punch, it would be able to just Dragon Dance up again. And then even though I can burn it, it would outspeed my entire team, and even burned, a +2 Dragonite is just a neutral Dragonite. And so that can definitely plow through my team which is why I do have the Rock Tomb on this Infernape. Now, Infernape is going to be my rocker because it can beat both of his hazard removers, being Scizor and Dhelmise 1v1. So that's why Infernape is going to be my rocker this week. I also have the Rocky Helmet because since I'm not carrying Fire Stab, I do need a semi-decent way of chipping down the Scizor and the Dhelmise because Rock Tomb is just not going to cut it versus those things. But anyways, that is the set I decided to go for with that. Next up is my lando-t, which is going to be Choice Scarf, mainly to outspeed Mega Lopunny, outspeed a +1 Dragonite, outspeed a potential Scarf Nidoqueen, which is a tech that a lot of people, including myself, has used to kind of bop lando-ts before. I have the punishment on this thing in case a Calm Mind Reuniclus gets out of hand. If it gets up to +4 or 5, I believe I can just OHKO that thing, even if it's max defense. And so that's nice. Then I have Earthquake for stab, U-turn for momentum. Pretty self-explanatory. I am speed creeping the base 80s, of course, on this thing as well. The rest just dumped into bulk. And then max attack. Pretty straightforward spread. Pretty straightforward its function versus the teams, just to revenge things, potentially clean up with Earthquake once I get rid of the Dragonite, as that's his only ground immunity besides Swanna, which isn't coming. But yeah, and then Sneasel is another threat to this thing, but I do have my Fat Infernape to check the Sneasel, as well as a few other things that can take a hit and fire off a hit back. But anyways, that's going to be my Lando. Next up is my Cofagrigus, bringing out the Z move for the first time this season on this thing. Ghostium Z, Nasty Plot Trick Room, Shadow Ball, Hidden Power Fighting. This set is very good versus this team. If I get up a Nasty Plot and a Trick Room, I basically get kills until Trick Room runs out. It's pretty much that simple. I am running 0 IVs and a negative nature because if he decides to bring a Trick Room Reuniclus, I do want to at least speed tie with that thing under Trick Room. And Shadow Ball with the Ghostium Z just is an enormous amount of offensive pressure versus his team. His Ghost Resists are Mega Lopunny and Chandelure. Both of them go down to Hidden Power Fighting after rocks, in Mega Lopunny's case at +2. Sneasel obviously gets OHKO'd, regardless of if rocks are up, but rocks being up breaks the potential sash, so it's just nice to have. So that's going to be my Cofagrigus set. Next up is my Tangrowth, which is going to be physically defensive with the Rocky Helmet, my second Rocky Helmet user. I brought double helmet 2 weeks in a row now, but I mean, we're going to do it again, because, I mean, Mega Lopunny, if I don't prep for it, it will destroy me. So that's why I do have the max defense helmet Tangrowth. Leech Seed Protect. Protect is really interesting because it allows me to potentially 1v1 a Sky Strike Dragonite, because I can protect on the Z move, and if I get up a Leech Seed, say his only attacking moves are Fly, Extreme Speed, and Earthquake. Well, Earthquake's not doing anything to Tangrowth, Extreme Speed's not doing anything to Tangrowth, and Fly, I can protect on the Z move, take still a considerable amount of damage because it is a Sky Strike, but after that, if I get up my Leech Seed, I can just continually click Giga Drain or Knockoff, and if he goes for the Fly, I can just protect the next turn, it's not going to do anything, and Earthquake and Extreme Speed are not doing anything to me either way, so that's just kind of why I have Protect, as well as I don't really need any double coverage versus his team. Hidden Power Fire would be nice for the Scizor, but I feel like Protect just offers me a little bit more utility, also allows me to scout a potential Choice Lock Chandelure, because I know that if he brings Chandelure, it's probably going to be Choiced and it's going to be Trick to try to catch my Florges on the switch-in. So if I can Protect versus that thing, see if it wants to go for a Trick, and if it doesn't, I can go to Florges, and if it does, I can go straight out into my Mega Sharpedo and threaten his entire roster. But yeah, that's my Tangrowth set. I have no real reason to run Special Defense on this thing, which is why I'm just max HP, max defense with a relaxed nature. Anyways, moving on to my last Pokemon, which is going to be my Florges. This is a very interesting spread. I am running 156 speed on my Florges. That is not a mistake. It's to speed creep a Nidoqueen, speed creeping a defensive Lando with about 12 investment. So if Nidoqueen is speed creeping anything, it's going to be lando-t, and I feel like it's going to just speed creep it by a few points. And with 156 speed, on my Florges, I'm able to hit a speed stat that is a little bit better than creeping defensive Lando. So I can pretty much guarantee that I'm going to outspeed the Nidoqueen, as I see absolutely zero reason for him to run anything faster than that. And with my special attack investment, I do always 2-hit KO even a fat Nidoqueen. And then Psychic plus Moonblast is pretty decent coverage versus this team. The only problem is Scizor. However, I can throw up a Wish in the air as he switches that in and just go right out into my Infernape, set up my rocks, throw up a Will-O-Wisp, and it's generally a nice situation for me regardless. So that's going to be my spread for the Florges. Also, the special defense allows me to take any 2 hits from Chandelure, unless it's 2 really high roll Fire Blasts, any Specs, which I feel versus my team Scarf has a little bit more merit. Although Specs is an amazing wall breaker, Scarf just allows me to do so much more things with it. So having the special defense on this thing allows me to take hits from that, as well as the Swanna if he decides to bring it for some reason. It also allows me to tank a Sludge Wave from Nidoqueen pretty easily, actually, even if he's Life Orb. I do not go down to a hit, so that's nice. I can pretty much 1v1 his obvious counter to this thing being Nidoqueen. So that's going to be my team for this week, and I'll see you guys in the actual match. Alright, so here we have our game up against Ethan. As you can see, he decided to bring the Alomola, the Dragonite, the Sneasel, the Nidoqueen, the Dhelmise, and the Mega Lopunny. So looking at this matchup, I'm expecting Alomola to just be fat Wish Passer to keep his Pokemon healthy. The Dragonite is definitely going to be Dragon Dance Sky Strike. I feel like that's easily the most threatening set versus my team. Sneasel could be potentially Choice Banded to revenge my lando-t with the Ice Shard if I am Rock Polish. So I feel like that's probably the most likely set. If not, it's going to be Focus Sash to take a hit from anything and do a lot of damage back. Nidoqueen is going to be either Life Orb with hazards or just defensive with hazards. It's his only hazard setter, so it's definitely going to have the rocks, and I do expect T-Spikes in this matchup because they do kind of destroy me unless I bring Garbodor, and Garbodor had a pretty bad matchup, and Nidoqueen can just kind of come in on Garbodor and set them up again. So Toxic Spikes are definitely going to be a big issue for me this game. Dhelmise is probably going to be his Rapid Spinner for his Dragonite's Multiscale, as well as Sneasel. They're both weak to rocks. He does not want to have rocks up on his side if possible, so that's going to be his Rapid Spinner. Could be Assault Vest, could be Cobra Berry for potential Sky Strike from my lando-t. It could be, Cobra Berry for my Mega Sharpedo's Crunch. Could be Akka Berry for my Infernape. It could be a lot of items, but generally it's going to be his Spinner and just a bulky attacker. And then Mega Lopunny, I'm expecting this to be Healing Wish, as I don't really see much else use for this thing in the matchup. If he can bring back his Dragonite with that thing, it could be pretty useful for him. Otherwise, I have the Cofagrigus, I have the physically defensive Tangrowth. I have a lot of checks to Mega Lopunny on my team, so I feel like his best use of that is Healing Wish if he did bring it. So that's going to be the team. I'm going to decide to lead off with my lando-t, as it has a pretty decent matchup versus his only rocker being Nidoqueen, and I do want to prevent rocks from going up turn 1 if I can, and potentially scare it out, go for the U-turn, get momentum, or just go for the Earthquake and potentially knock it out unless he's Shuka Berry, and in that case he either gets up rocks or he kills my lando-t, and one or the other, he can't have both. I just decided leading with Lando was my best choice, as he does lead off with the Alomola, which is a bad matchup for Lando-t. However, I do have the option of just U-turning out into something. However, I'm not going to reveal that I have the U-turn because that kind of screams Choice Scarf, and I do want to keep that a little bit of a secret in this match until I need to reveal it. So I'm going to go straight out into my Tangrowth. As he goes through the Ice Beam, it reveals he has no special attack investments, no surprise there. Here, I am going to go straight for the knockoff, as it does remove an item from pretty much anything on his team except for Mega Lopunny, which is not a Tangrowth counter. So I'm just going to go for that and remove the Black Sludge, and that reveals that this Nidoqueen is very fat. It looks like it's physically defensive from that damage, or at least has some physical bulk, but here I know he's going to go for the hazard, and he does go for the Toxic Spikes as I get my Mega Sharpedo in for free. And here what I can do is I can just go straight for the Psychic Things. It will be able to knock out this Nidoqueen if he wants to stay in, and Alomomola, if he goes in, I do have the Taunt to prevent it from wishing up on me. And if I can avoid a Scald Burn, I basically can get a KO here by taunting this and then going for Crunch, as he has no switch-ins to a Crunch on his team, barring a Sneasel, and since I have run Aqua Jet on Mega Sharpedo the majority of the time, that's definitely not a play for him to make, as Crunch plus Aqua Jet will easily knock out Sneasel, unless it's like HP invested Eviolite, which is not a set that he can really bring in this matchup at all. But I am going to go for the taunt, preventing the wish, and now if I can avoid a Scald Burn, I will be able to either get a kill or some massive damage off with the Crunch, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for the Crunch, as it does about half to these Alomomola, which is very nice. I'm going to be able to knock it out the next turn if he decides to stay in, and since he's taunted, he can't go for Protect to get leftovers, and as you see, I do avoid the Scald Burn, which is very nice for me. I'm going to go straight for the Crunch, as he is going to switch out hard into his Mega Lopunny, which is actually regular Lopunny at this point since he has not Mega Evolved, which means he does not resist this Crunch. It's going to do a lot of damage. Will we knock it out? We do not. It does about 99%. He's living on a few HP. And here I can go straight out into my Tangrowth. Unfortunately, we are going to get poisoned, but we can't do anything about that now because we don't have hazard removal. So Tangrowth is going to get poisoned eventually. I may as well do it now and finish off this Mega Lopunny with the Rocky Helmet. If I had the Aqua Jet, I could have gone for it there. However, even if I had it, I think I still would have gone Tangrowth, because if he had Fake Out plus Quick Attack, he could potentially get a huge amount of damage off on my Mega Sharpedo in exchange for just knocking out a 2% Lopunny, when I could easily go Tangrowth on the potential Fake Out, do no damage, and knock him out with a Helmet, which is what I decided to do. He does go for the return, so I do take some damage. But here he goes into his Dhelmise. I'm going to make the switch hard out into my Helmet defensive Infernape, as this is easily my best chance to get up these Stealth Rocks in this game. And he is going to go for the Anchor Shot. With his damage, he's going to reveal that he is 252 attack with the Adamant Nature, and he is going to get hit by the Helmet, and I am trapped in here, which is fine. I'm not going to switch out here. I'm going to just set up my rocks, as he's actually going to go for the Phantom Force here, revealing it over the Shadow Claw, which is some pretty cool tech. However, it's not going to work out for him the greatest here, as I can just go for the Slack Off next turn to put me out of range of this attack, and after this, I can just fire off a Will-O-Wisp the next turn, which is, if he stays in, the Dhelmise will be incredibly crippled, and there's no way he can spin on my Rocker, as I'm just going to get up rocks again on this thing. And Phantom Force comes in, it does about 60%, which is a lot of damage, as I do have a lot of bulk on this Infernape, but Dhelmise is a strong boy, so it's very understandable. But here I'm just going to fire off a Will-O-Wisp. He doesn't really have the greatest Will-O-Wisp answers on his team. He does go into his Alomomola though, which is probably the best thing he could have chosen to get burned. I guess Nidoqueen could also have been a good candidate for just taking the burn, but Aloe is definitely great as well for him. But here, Scald from a Zero Special Attack Alomomola, which is confirmed by the Ice Beam damage on my Tangrowth, is only going to do 32 to 39% to my Infernape spread. So I am able to actually recover up on this very slowly, but I am able to get up to 40% if he just stays and goes for Scald on my Infernape. So I'm going to take that opportunity to get my Infernape a little bit healthier. I don't feel like conserving the PP of Slack Offs is going to be an issue this game, so I'm just going to stay in and go for Slack Off repeatedly. And the only downside of doing this is it would allow his Nidoqueen a free switch in on one of my Slack Offs for him to get up another layer of hazard, which is going to be Stealth Rocks. However, getting my Infernape healthy is a little bit more important, in my opinion, than keeping it low and switching out on the Alomomola. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for the Slack Off and slowly gain my HP. And yeah, this Infernape is pretty important because I don't really have the means of completely preventing Dhelmise from spinning as of yet. It's not quite low enough for me to always knock it out with pretty much everything on my team to prevent a spin, so I do need to keep my Rocker around and healthy. So that's why I'm going to just spam Slack Off with my Infernape here, get it a little bit healthier, and he's actually going to switch out into his Nidoqueen here as I go for another Slack Off, and this is going to put me at a respectable amount of health, so I will be able to switch into the Dhelmise if he goes for the spin, just get up the rocks right back up. But here, he is going to his Nidoqueen, he's definitely going to set up the rocks here, no doubt about it. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go straight out into my Florges. Now this definitely seems like a weird play, going hard Florges into a Nidoqueen. However, if he's attacking there, it's going to be an Earth Power, I feel. And if he's most likely going for rocks. And I am speed creeping this by quite a lot. And since he has a defensive spread, I don't expect him to be any faster than my Florges at all. So I am able to just go for Psychic and 2-hit KO this thing, as Sludge Wave will not be able to knock me out. And if you look at his team, Florges doesn't have the greatest utility, as he didn't bring his Chandelure and he didn't bring his Swanna, which is the two special attackers that Florges was really there for. So if I'm able to 1v1 the Nidoqueen with my Florges and get rid of that thing as a threat, that's going to be the best use of Florges this match, so I'm going to take that. I guess another thing I could have done with Florges is saved it in the back to potentially revenge a Sneasel. However, I felt like getting rid of the Nidoqueen with the Psychic was a little bit more important from my Florges, as I have other ways of dealing with the Sneasel anyways. So knocking out the Nidoqueen there with the Florges Psychic is very nice, and now he's actually going to go out into his Dhelmise here, and I think he's going to attempt to spin for his Dragonite, and I'm not going to allow that. I'm going to go straight out into my Infernape to get up the rocks again, and here, this turn he's going to go for the Rapid Spin, take the helmet damage. I'm going to take Rocks and Poison, and Rocks plus the Toxic Spikes is really hindering my Infernape's survivability. It was at about 75%, but now, after the spin and the hazards, I'm at about 40 actually. So that's not ideal. Here I am going to go straight for the rocks, as he cannot just spin on me. That's just something he can't do. And he actually goes hard into Dragonite. I thought about predicting this and going for the Will-O-Wisp, however, in the case that he actually switched out into something else or stayed in, definitely going for Stealth Rocks was the play. So I did get up my rocks, and here I am in range of the Extreme Speed. However, what this does allow me to do is get off a little bit of chip with my helmet and break his multi-scale, which is very important. It allows me to put it in range of my Mega Sharpedo's Ice Fang, which otherwise would not be able to knock him out, I believe, if he was at multi-scale. So that's pretty nice. However, I'm not going to go for the Ice Fang, because if he goes into Alomomola on the Ice Fang, I lose pretty much all momentum. So I'm going to go straight for the Crunch, because even if he wants to stay in, which I do not expect because Dragonite is the biggest threat to my team, he definitely wants to save that thing. Even if he stayed in, Crunch is a roll to knock him out after helmet damage. So since I am adamant, I was able to make that play, and even if he did stay in, he was at such a low amount of health that he wouldn't be able to come in on rocks anymore, and I could just go out into my lando-t and revenge it, and just basically I'd have to play around Dhelmise not spinning, which at the range of health it's only at about 35% or so, would not be too hard to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the Crunch and 2-hit KO this Alomomola. He does go for the Protect to get up a little bit more Toxic Spike damage on me, which is fair, but here he is going to have to pick a fodder for my Mega Sharpedo, and that fodder is actually going to be Dhelmise, you're going to see this next turn, which is fantastic for me. It means rocks are guaranteed to stay up, and he actually reveals that he is not Colbur Berry on this turn. So I don't know what berry he was, I didn't hit him with any special attacks, I don't know if he's AB. So definitely interested in watching his video on that Dhelmise spread if he wants to reveal that in the video. I don't know if he will. But my Mega Sharpedo does knock out the Dhelmise, and he's down to the Alomomola, Dragonite, and the Sneasel. He is going to go into his Dragonite, and since the rocks are up, he's actually going to go down to about 60%. Crunch will knock him out, however, Extreme Speed will knock me out first, which is unfortunate. However, if you went for the Dragon Dance, I did want to stay in and knock it out, because I am in a pretty solid position here. I can afford to play pretty safe around this thing. And here I'm going to go into my lando-t and I'm just going to go straight for the Stone Edge, because if he sacks off this Dragonite, then I'm in a fantastic position. And if he switches out, he has to come in on rocks, and the Dragonite will be at about 40%, which is in range of a lot of my Pokemon. So Going for the Stone Edge was the play there, and he was kind of forced to stay in there because if I was Sword Stance Yachi Berry and he switched out, he 100% lost this game, barring a flinch from Icicle Crash on Sneasel. So he does sack off his Dragonite here. What I'm going to do versus this Alomola, I'm actually going to sack off my Florges to get off a Wish. And basically, Ice Beam from this Alomola, the crit didn't matter. After that and 2 rounds of the poison damage, I will go down, but I will have a Wish in the air when I die. So the Pokemon that I send out after Florges will be able to receive the Wish, which is going to be the only useful thing that I have for Florges in this game. Since it is so low, it is the most utility I can get out of it, and I do want to sack off my Florges to get a completely free switch into my Cofagrigus, because if you look at his team, he has Alomola, which dies to +2 Neverending Nightmare, and the Sneasel, which dies to Hidden Power Fighting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to sweep with my Trick Room Nasty Plot Cofagrigus here with the Wish in the air, which basically just negates Stealth Rock damage for a turn, as I am going to go out straight into my Cofagrigus after this, going down to the Toxic damage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Rocks, I'm going to go for the I'm going to go for the Trick Room first, because if he went hard into Sneasel on this turn, and I went for the Nasty Plot, he could potentially knock my Cofagrigus out with a Banded Sneasel's knockoff. Even though I am the Z Crystal, that plus the poison damage would be able to knock me out. Now I would be able to knock out the Sneasel as well, and then my Tangrowth would have been able to 1v1 the Alomola. However, I felt like going for the Trick Room first in case he went for Sneasel was overall my better play. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the Nasty Plot, as he did decide to throw off a Wish. What I could have done here is I could have gone for the Neverending Nightmare. However, if he went hard Sneasel there, Neverending Nightmare was actually not enough to knock out the Sneasel after Rocks, because it was resisted. So I'm going to go for the Nasty Plot here, and here is kind of a 50-50, kind of not. Basically, he should go for Protect here. I believe that is 100% his play. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball, the normal Shadow Ball. I'm not going to waste my Z move yet, as I do get the play correct as he goes for the Protect on my regular Shadow Ball. And this next turn, I'm going to click the Z button, and I'm going to fire off the Never-Ending Nightmare. If he switches out, it does knock out the Sneasel. He stays in, it knocks out the Alomola. His only chance at this point is getting a double Protect, which of course is in my favor for him not to get, so I'm just going to click the Never-Ending Nightmare, my best chance to go for it here, as he goes for Protect, and he does not get it. So I'm able to knock out this Alomola with the Z move. It is definitely going to knock him out. +2 stab, 160 base power move, and Alomola doesn't have the greatest special defense even if he is invested. So I am going to go for that and knock out this Alomola. And because I did set up the Trick Room a while ago, however, because I set up the Trick Room, I believe 3 turns ago, I do have 1 more turn, which is going to be able to be enough in this game for me to knock out Sneasel with the Hidden Power Fighting. A Ice Shard from Banded Sneasel is not going to be able to knock me out. I believe even if he gets a crit, it won't be able to knock me out. But I do take the Ice Shard, and it looks like a crit would have been maybe a roll, but I am able to knock it out with the Hidden Power Fighting, and that's going to be the 3-0 victory up against Ethan, and we actually become a 6-1 record with our team, so that is very nice. And I'm not going to, well actually I am going to spoil one of the matches here, so if you don't want to be spoiled for Trev's game, Trev and Kyle, I believe, is who played. That's who he played. So Trev, actually, here's your warning. You can click out of the video if you don't want to be spoiled, but Trev did actually win his game versus Kyle, so he is also 6-1 record. So what that means is our next week, which is of course up against Trev, we're both 6-1, and we're both in the same division. So basically what happens is the next week, whoever wins gets a bye in the playoffs. However, don't really want to go full tryhard and show off all my techs, because both of us are guaranteed for playoffs. So playing him in playoffs is a very real possibility. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to approach that game because I do definitely want to win to get the bye. However, I don't want to show off too many techs, as I do want to save my best sets for playoffs if you do play. So that's going to be very interesting to build and play for, or build for and play. So that's going to be pretty cool, and I'll see you guys in that battle. And we actually do move on to 6-1 plus, I believe, 18 or 19 differential, which does put us at number 1 in the league at the moment. So that's pretty nice. See you guys in next week.